understand, like somebody should have said these things to me. Somebody should have talked to me about perimenopause. Somebody should have said to me, that what, ageism is very real, and it will catch up to you, because the world is very cruel to women who are aging. Not being financially literate is not going to be good for you, no matter how much you say that it's my choice, that I give up working and I want to be, I want to. Congratulations to you. I mean, this is like your maiden episode of your first podcast, right? You have.
I really want to put these conversations out there so that more and more women can hear this, and somewhere in this might find some hope, or find some ray of light, or find a way to look at things differently and not feel stuck.
Yeah.
I
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
have with us here Lola today. And Lola is somebody I have known professionally when I used to write a lot for Shiro's. It was a digital platform, and you used to be one of the main people in the editorial team. And we used to be kind of, that's how we got to know each other. As a person with you, because I really like how you really have a strong voice and you stand up for things. You're funny and you have that sense of activism in you. You're an empath and you like to have fun and you find joy in small things in life. There's a lot of unsaid learning and knowledge which comes with experience as you from a lived life, right? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, women are only told to pass on certain things as a ritual, whatever is mass acceptance. But we really don't talk about things which we should talk about. I mean, how to live and how to care
Yeah.
for ourselves, how to build ourselves, how to take care of our own health, relationships, our finances, our identity, our values. And I really feel that somewhere I think everybody is evolving, and as you evolve you realize that damn, I wish somebody when I was younger, when I was 20-year-old, a 40-year-old person, an aunt or a colleague, somebody, I wish they just shared their experience. But somewhere
Yeah.
I think people are just have to come across as put together when you're older, but you don't talk
Yeah.
about your challenges and how you manage it. It's very important to tell a 20-year-old or 30-year-old, share with them that what life holds, maybe when you're in your 40s, when you're in your 50s. So now in hindsight, when I think when I'm in my late 40s, now I understand the struggle of the person when I was younger, who was an older colleague or a friend or a relative or my mom or whatever. I understand it better because I have context of the time and experience and age. So
Yes.
this whole podcast is born out of that. And the other thing
Yeah.
which I really feel is that it's pretty tough to have your own individuality and to be on your own as to your own whole values and your ecosystem, your thinking, not to be mainstream, to be somewhere where you can be an outlier, you can maintain your own sovereignty, you can really be like a third space or a counterculture. And I still feel like maybe some of us are a lot more privileged, but I also see women struggling and really, really having to deal with problems which existed even 30 years back. The
Yeah.
times have changed, but the problems have remained same. Even though we are more
Mm-hmm.
educated, we are working, we have global exposure, yet the problems are universally similar to what maybe was there 30 years back for our
30 years
mom.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for our moms.
Absolutely.
And I'm
Yeah, and it's kind of annoying, but it's also sort of your own reckoning, because you're like, okay, because I think in my 20s I would talk about myself. In my 20s, you would very casually dismiss the experiences and the behavior and the outbursts and the reactions of women in their 40s, not fully realizing what they are going through, and how, we used to say these things that I'm not going to be like this.
yeah,
And then later, when time passes, you're like, oh shit, it's not the fault of that individual of these women. It's that the whole system that's in place, it forces you to be a certain way, like you said, to conform, to to kind of like give up on your individuality, to give up on your own dreams. Somebody should have said these things to me. Somebody should have talked to me about perimenopause. Somebody should have said to me, that what, ageism is very real, and it will catch up to you, because the world is very cruel to women who are aging. Not being financially literate is not going to be good for you, no matter how much you say that it's my choice, that I give up working and I want to be, I want to be like a homemaker. All that is fine, but somebody should have been there to say, I think you're making these decisions very naively. Maybe look at this, take my experience. This is what I have been through.
You have been in a community engagement leader. That's how your career has been. And in your field of work, you have worked a lot with women communities, right? Across ages. So, if you can
Hmm.
share with me that in your experience of more than a decade of working with communities, especially women, what are the things which you feel for Indian women are still their challenges and strengths professionally, personally, and maybe a new perspective where we can look at it as to how to kind of navigate this.
Yeah, so Piyali, the thing is that I did not start out as a community engagement leader. I started out as a content writer. I started out as someone who was producing features. My inclination towards understanding the women only spaces, it began when I was thrust, this role was thrust upon me, and I had to build communities. And then during that course of time, I came across these women who were basically within the age bracket of, say, from 25 to 50, 55. And that's a huge range, but one recurring theme that was there, the underlying theme that was there, which was these women were out of work. They had taken a break due to some XYZ reasons, right? So they had taken break from their careers, or maybe they never even got the chance to work or be in the paid workforce. And they were trying to grapple with this situation where they don't have the financial uh, ability or the financial independence to take decisions in their lives. And that that was like an underlining theme. And that really showed me that this is not an individual's fault, because growing up you are taught so many things about women and their career paths, especially, and how there are certain stereotypes that are attached with women's careers, right? Like, if I right off the top, I can think of that, how we say that after marriage, becoming a teacher is like a viable career option for women, because
Right.
you can take care of the house, you can be a good housewife, and then you can also earn a little bit of money on the side, which will be like your pocket money, right? So I think that was which was instilled in us. And I mean, I would talk about myself. I thought that this was like such an individual level of decision, right? This was not systemic. But once I came in contact with these women, I was talking to them, I was building communities with them, and I realized that it's much more systemic. It's not just a woman's fault, one woman's fault, or 10 women's fault. It is a systemic thing that's keeping women out of workforce. And not just in the way our workplaces are built, but also the way our familial family cultures are shaped, right? And then when I come across these reels where we are talking about trad wives, and especially selling the trad wife aesthetic, we are talking about tapping into the divine feminine. We're talking about uh, selling these business women, these content creators, especially, they're business women, right? They are selling the trad wife aesthetic. They are not themselves trad wives, right? They are tapping in on the marketing part of the trad wife aesthetic and selling it like something that grounds women, that keeps them, that balances their life, and all sort of this spiel that's going around. But that's far from the lies, because I have actually come across women who, whether by their own choice or because of the circumstances, they had to take that break and they were unable to get back to the paid workforce and claim their financial independence. And that's keeping them from taking so many decisions in their lives. That has sort of taken away the agency that they had over their own life. Or they've never tasted that agency, but they want to. There are so many women that I came across, I spoke to, there was this resilience to make it work in the life, right? Whatever they have, whatever avenues they have at their disposal, whatever resources they have, they want to make it work. And that kind of set the tone for me, because there is, the intention is there. It's not the lack of intention, it's just that there is this lack of intention from the people who are actually making those systems, building these systems and making these rules, and dictating a lot of how women are supposed to be considered as part of the paid workforce, right? uh, like for example, if we were talking about say a woman in rural India, right? And she is not only taking care of her house, but she's farming, she's taking tending to the land, she's ensuring that all these crops, and she's
Pure
working
hard work.
round the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's absolute hard work, and it's skill. It's
Yeah.
But we call them unskilled. We
Right.
call them, we do not consider them part of the skilled labor force. We call them
But they are.
unskilled.
Yeah.
But they're skilled. They're skilled. They're not only running their houses, they are, that's a business model. Yet maybe she does not even have that claim to that land. She's also not probably getting the monetary benefit of it. But she's kept out of workforce. She's
Yeah.
kept out of the paid workforce. And that, I think, is such a failure on the part of us as a society, and also as a system that we have created, where we do not even acknowledge women working.
Yeah. A big topic right now, because it's not the first time this happened, but we again have like a very educated, proper, professional and everything, this woman who had to end her life because of being stuck in a marriage,
Yeah.
and not having that back
Yeah.
support system. I mean, so the thing is, it's not something alien, it's just happening still anywhere.
It's just, yeah, I think it's just the apathy. I think we've normalized it. There's just no other way to put it. We have normalized it, and we have reached this stage because we start normalizing a lot of stuff at the very beginning of a girl child's life. So whether that's telling her to dress a certain way, whether that's telling her, instructing her to talk to people in a certain manner, whether that's telling her to behave in a certain manner at households, we have just started policing them in a way. And via those, those gender norms that we have in place, and it's just like it adds on to it. There are many factors, and Piyali, that the factors of caste, the factors of which community you belong to, the factors, there are so many factors involved. uh, but not to say that it is not horrific, or it does not deserve our attention, or even our anger, or our protest, or our concern. But I think at this point, we have become totally apathetic. And I realize that how we as women distance ourselves from women who probably are not that privileged, who did not have access to, say, the kind of education we had, or did not have access to resources, or that awareness or exposure, but they're still making it work. They're making it work no matter what. And that really gave me a wake up call on working on my independence, on my financial independence, and not taking it for granted. Not because I don't want to have it as bad as they are having it, but just to realize that the world is cruel to women who don't have money.
Yeah.
As simple as that. The
Yeah.
world is very cruel to women who don't have money. And it does not matter whether you are a lower middle class, where you come from, the lower middle class, or you're a middle class, or you're a rich woman, they are that shit cruel to you. So these women taught me that, and anything that you do to earn that money, I will not judge you. Especially if you're a woman, I'm not going to judge you. You do, get that money, get settle down in your life, do whatever you want to do with your life, go get your dreams. I'm there to support
Well
you.
said.
So yeah.
I know a lot of women in their 40s who are educated, they have the qualification, they may have worked before their marriage very shortly for a while, but then I think running the house, raising the family has been like a major task. Even though they are really skilled, but that level of confidence for them and they really want to do stuff, because as you said, that they don't have an agency in decision making, agency in their lives, or in their families, how the family dynamics work. There's no power or agency at all from any angle. So what do you think is what is one way where they can find that self confidence?
You have sold this dream to girls that a woman's ultimate achievement in life is to settle down. You have sold this dream, right? And since childhood, when you tell this, when you hammer this thought in someone's mind, even if we see that women who are wildly successful, if they are not married, if they do not have a romantic partner, we consider that life, we consider that woman a failure on some
A
level.
legitimate
But we,
a legitimate partner. It has to be a husband, can't be a,
yes, 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 that too, that
and children.
too, a legitimate partner, yeah, yeah, partner and children, then you can consider it success story. But you do not consider a woman who is probably who's married, who's well settled, and who's taking care of a family, and does not have a career out there, although she is also shamed, by the way. There is a different sort of shaming that's going on, but you don't consider that a failure story, right? You consider that a success story, that she's made it in life, she's at least she's settled down. So I don't know, how do you actually give confidence to a woman who is struggling with that? Because to come out of that mindset, it not only takes her, to build that inner confidence, but it also takes a lot of external support. She needs to have that sort of environment in the house, the husband in this case. And that's why they say that it's very important, if you don't marry, if you don't marry out of this urgency, you don't marry out of the fears that are there, that are instilled in us, that you're aging, or you wouldn't have anyone to look after you. You have to marry the right person for this very reason. You need to have the support of the people to tell you that, you know it is time for you to actually look after yourself, instead of just expending yourself for us, right? We need to have that empathy. That lack of empathy that is there for homemakers, that's just rampant.
Yeah.
And we glorify that. We say that, okay, our moms have, they get up at 2 in the morning to make roti for us. We actually glorify this. So we need to stop the whole family system, the whole function. The family function is so rotten, I feel. Because if there is just one person who is taking care of everyone in the house, and if that person takes to the bed, if that person falls sick, your entire existence comes under jeopardy. That means there is some problem in that system, right? Like, if there are adults in the household and one woman is sick and you can't function without her, that shows that something is wrong with this whole system. So I would say that, don't take this fact for granted, that you are just because you are married, and you're settled in the most conventional sense, that you don't have to work for your financial freedom. Don't take your financial freedom for granted. Because once you do that, I think there is certain complacency that sets in, and you feel like, oh, I do have someone to lean on, which is a good thing. That's the whole point of companionship, right? But it should not be to the point that it it
Lose
it,
yourself.
it kills your ambition. Yeah, it kills your ambition. So I feel like that is the starting point, and from there you can build up.
This whole thing, you are a trained empathy leader, you are skilled and trained in it, but women somewhere are told they're naturally empathetic. Scientifically, maybe yes, it is correct, but then this whole empathy and the concept of sacrifice and self-sacrifice and
Mm.
this sense of loss of your own identity, it gets very blurred because society keeps telling you that what you're doing is greatness in self-sacrifice, and that is part of your identity as a woman. And being empathetic, which comes part of your genetic makeup and your persona. And if you're not so, then you're not really a woman. But motherly nature has to come naturally. It is like very natural. If you don't have it, you're lesser. I mean, how do you navigate empathy and sacrifice at your own cost?
So, I just want to touch upon one little thing where you're talking about how we venerate motherhood, right? And we glorify motherhood, but we don't actually give any tactical support to mothers in any way. Like, look around. We don't even have diaper changing stations in men's room. I mean, that's another topic. That's like another topic that we can touch upon later. But there is no space for mothers to be comfortable in our society. We just leave them on their own to deal with motherhood, which is actually a very horrific experience. If I'm not being over dramatic over here, it is a horrific experience. Apart from the glow of motherhood and the you know the fact that you brought this miracle into the life, into this world, but it is not an easy journey. So yeah, we are very good with words when it comes to glorifying motherhood, but we don't give any support whatsoever. And now, talking about how women are expected to have this maternal instinct and be sacrificial and always put others uh, you know before anyone else, before herself. I think this is again a very this is part of a conditioning, and the only way we can fix this is by raising the next generation of kids not believing in this narrative that women are the only ones capable of empathy. Sure, this might be partly because it is part of a genetic makeup, but that is not the extent of the truth that we know. Empathy is very much a human emotion, right? And it can be cultivated. It is not that, it's just that we actually force little girls to grow up earlier. We force little girls to sacrifice more. And that's why they develop these mechanisms to deal with whatever expectations are thrown their way. But that can happen if you put the baby boy in the same situation, right? And and that is what I'm saying. Empathy is not a gendered emotion. A man can also be equally empathetic.
Absolutely.
That's the flaw, is how we navigate in raising these two specific, especially these two binary genders that is there, right? And how do we differentiate when our empathy is actually draining us, right? Is burning us out. Empathy is very much where you understand what the other person is going through, right? But do you have to fix them? Do you have to fix the situation? That is where you need to use your own experience and your intuition to make that decision. That decision is something which has to be made, maybe via experience that you have gained, but you have to understand that it is not your job to fix everything. It is not your job to fix everyone all at once. It is not your job. It's not going to happen. You have to come to the realization that you may feel bad for that person, you may understand what that person is going through, but everyone has to fight their own battles. Everyone has to fix their own journeys, right?
Even though a woman is really doing everything and like really working hard at it and really being successful, they're still very iffy about owning or really understanding the concept of feminism. They're not they're not very comfortable calling themselves feminists. So why do you think, and what is your take on that?
I empathize with that because I was at a place where I did not openly or proudly would call myself a feminist, or it was not a mindful decision that I had taken, but it was there somewhere at the back of my mind. It was there that I will not openly call myself a feminist, although I will defend the movement, but I'm not going to call myself a feminist. The usual reaction is, see, I'm not a feminist, I believe in equality, but you know what this movement is about. That is how the usually the
Yeah.
conversation goes like. But what I realized was that was harmful. That narrative is very harmful, because what you're doing is you are discrediting the very movement that has led to your freedom, that has granted you so many choices, and that agency and that freedom that you have, which is on the back of so many women who have protested in their own ways, right? And these rights have not just granted upon us by men out of their goodwill of heart. It was because these women fought tooth and nail, right? There's there's misconception just afloat, right? There's like, okay, feminism, why should we talk about women's rights when there should be equality, not knowing that feminism is about equality of all genders, it's and sexes. It's not just about women's rights, it's about every
Human
minority
rights.
community, marginalized community that has been discriminated against, right? And I don't even remember being taught about the feminist movement, the first wave of feminism. I don't remember that I
No.
was ever taught about it. So I did that research on my own late into my 20s. And I was like, oh, this is something which is important. This was about politics. This was about our right to vote. And that from there it started. I don't know it who I mean, we know who benefits if half of the population is unaware of their basic rights. But it has to be changed in at a very at academic level, how we teach our children what feminism is about. And there is this you know concern that when you call yourself a feminist, which I'm just like throwing around some presumptions over here, but I feel like there is this concern that if I call myself a feminist, maybe I will be kept out of certain circles or kept out of certain power circles which I want to be part of, right? The all boys club. And you know that a lot of powerful spaces include men who actually dictate what is going to happen, what is not going to happen. And that's why I feel like a lot of successful women especially add fuel to this narrative by distancing themselves
Yeah.
and actually bad mouthing feminism and saying
Yeah.
we are not these bra burning feminists, which I do understand why they are distancing themselves from the word, but I don't think is justifiable at all. Because if a successful woman in a position of power is unable to uh, claim the word feminist and feminism, and is afraid that it might ruffle some feathers and it might just uh, it might kind of bruise some powerful men's egos, and that might in return hurt her prospects of success. I think that says a lot. What are you going to talk about? What are you going to tell to women who do not have access to that sort of power? So I think it is up to women who are in position of power to say it loudly and proudly that they are feminists, because feminism is nothing. It's just equality of all
Yeah.
genders and all communities. That's it. It's not some cult. It's
Yeah.
nothing. And the movement has gone through so many updates.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about
More. Yeah.
deconstruction feminism. I mean, we are talking about we in Indian context, we are calling out the Savarna feminists for excluding so many communities of
Yeah.
women, right? So I think the only way you can combat this is by reading and making yourself aware. And so that when if you're in a position of power, you can make it. I mean, it's basic and it's infuriating if you have to say such basics, if you have to spell out such basic stuff. But sadly, it is needed. So just if you are a feminist, just say. And you're not a feminist, then maybe mull over it, think over
Read.
it, read up.
Read about
It's
it.
very, yeah,
Do
it's
some
very
critical
important.
thinking and research on. I mean, it's important to research and question that whole argument, why am I not one? Like,
Yeah.
like very,
Yeah. If
very
you don't
openly.
think you're a feminist, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe when you are so loudly declaring you're not one, based on some information you have, maybe it will be a good idea to research, why am I not? Do I really align with that argument at all or not? And that research will
Yeah.
lead you to think is to realize that these are just basic human rights. Yeah, totally. And everyone should have those. Every